Welcome to the Transolid Retro Shower Installation Guide. Before you begin any installation, inspect the delivery of materials from Transolid. Is everything that you ordered in the delivery? It's better to catch something missing now rather than get stuck in the middle of installation without a necessary part. Do you have the shower pan, walls, trim, caddy, silicone, adhesives, and the drain with the correct seal for the plumbing? Contact Transolid immediately if any materials are missing. Tape down a protective cover over any areas immediately adjacent to the workspace. This makes cleanup much easier, and it's especially important if the adjacent areas will remain in use during the installation. Before starting, check to make sure that the pan will properly fit into the opening. Remove all hardware and soap shelves. Make sure that the walls and pan feel structurally sound. Report any areas that are soft or questionable. Stuff a rag into the drain pipe so no debris falls into the drain. Remove 1 to 2 lower rows of tile so that a pan can be installed with the water dams tucked behind the panels. This can be done with a cold chisel or similar tools. For some showers, the drain will have to be removed from the pan. Work with the plumber to determine the best option for extending the plumbing. In some cases, Transolid's new extended drain can be used. A 2-inch ABS PVC copper or cast iron pipe will have to be extended high enough for the new no-caulk flange to attach. The correct rubber bushing must be used for the specific pipe. A gasket is provided for ABS and PVC. If cast iron or copper are used, then the correct gasket must be ordered. Prior to pouring self-leveling concrete, check pan to determine required level of concrete. This is especially important for ADA pans as height is critical for compliance. Self-leveling concrete is usually picked up at Home Depot in the tile area. Using a small paint bucket or similar, apply silicone to seal the drain opening. It is very important that it is watertight because the self-leveling concrete will find any small opening and leak out. Little time is needed and the silicone does not have to be cured to seal well. Read the instructions on the concrete and add the proper amount of water. Be sure to mix it well so it will harden properly. Pour concrete to predetermined level, usually to the high corner of the existing pan. Once the self-leveling concrete is set, usually in an hour or so, dry fit the pan and check its location, height, and drainage with a torpedo level. If the pan needs to be shimmed, add a shim and use it as a positive stop. Adjust pan to make sure the water dams will tuck behind the wall panels into the walls. Remove the pan and apply thinset with the equivalent of a 1/2-inch trowel. Enough thinset should be applied to fill any voids under the grid of the pan. Special concern should be focused under the drain area. If you use a rapid set thinset, it will be set in about 2 hours. When possible, allow pans to set overnight before installing walls. Always check the pan with a torpedo level after installation. Check again to make sure the water dam will tuck behind the wall panels. Be sure to nestle the shower pan into the thinset. Once the pan is set, follow the manufacturer's set time instructions before stepping back into the pan. Double check everything again. Before any seaming or joining of two solid surface products, be sure that all surfaces are clean. You will note throughout the installation process joints are often wiped down. When seaming the water dams onto the panel platform, scuff the platform with 80 grit sandpaper and wipe down with denatured alcohol. This will improve the bond strength. The water dam is cut with a 5-degree angle to match the 5-degree draft on the panel platform. Choose the correct method for this to be installed. The water dam can be installed with instant CA adhesive in conjunction with 2-part seam adhesive. The water dam should, when possible, extend past the front edge of the pan into the threshold area. Sometimes this can be applied on top of the threshold. The CA adhesive works well to tack and secure the water dam where it makes good solid contact. The CA adhesive is strong where it makes solid contact, but does not have good strength when filling a gap. Therefore, once the water dam is attached, 2-part seam adhesive needs to be applied into the corners and smoothed out with a finger like a cove. This adds significant strength to the dam by bonding all of it together, ensuring that it is watertight. There are many ways to install thresholds. In this video illustration, we will lap a full, loose threshold. Take time to measure and fit the threshold. Be sure to account for any necessary cutouts to go around existing tile, trim, or other obstacles. Often it will need to be coped around the existing tile. The threshold should lap into the pan by about 1/4 to 3/8 inches. All edges need to be soft and rounded over. This can be done with a laminate trimmer and a 1/4 round bit, or it can be sculpted with a sander. The edge should be nice and smooth when complete. The threshold should fit between the water dams. A slight draft should flow back into the shower. When installing the threshold, it is imperative that all joints around the threshold are first cleaned and then well sealed with silicone. Silicone always works best when between two surfaces like a gasket. Silicone will fail when used as a surface seal. The silicone needs to be under the threshold between the bottom and the existing floor. A generous bead must also be between the panel platform and the threshold. Note some of the different trim details shown in the installation instructions. Once the threshold is installed, do a good job of cleaning up extra silicone and adding silicone where needed. It is best if the pipe extension is done prior to pan installation. However, it can be done after the pan is installed through the 7-inch diameter hub location. The pipe can be off-center up to 1 inch in any direction. The extension should be done by the plumber. If the plumbing is cast iron, the plumber will have to cut the pipe off to fit. The pipe should be cut approximately 3/8 an inch above the level surface. Even though it is always easier to cut the pipe prior to installing the pan, it can be done afterwards, if needed, if it is copper or plastic, ABS, or PVC. When the shower pan hub is used, the pipe location needs to be located on the hub. The This is easily done by using the rubber seal from the drain fitting and slipping it over the 2-inch drain pipe. Wet the rubber fitting, drop the hub into location, and it will positively mark the pipe location. Be sure, however, prior to doing this that the pipe is plumb and where it should be. If the existing drain pipe is used, be sure to clean and remove anything that may keep the seal from sealing well. Cut out the drain hole with a 3 1/4 inch hole saw and use a 9/16 rabbet bit on a router to cut the rabbet for the drain flange. The rabbet should be set between 1/4 and 5/16 of an inch in depth. Installing the brass no-caulk drain fitting can be done by the installer unless prohibited by local codes. Plumber's putty is used. The fitting must be tightened a minimum of 3 times, weighting and cleaning out the plumber's putty between each torque. Training is required as this is the most critical aspect of the pan installation. Plastic drains will void the commercial warranty. The black rubber ring is installed, followed by the cardboard or vinyl slip ring before screwing on the nut and tightening the minimum 3 times. Test fit the drain fitting to confirm the pipe is at the right height. When the black rubber drain seal ring is installed into the fitting, the pipe must be just at the right level above the rubber ring. If this is not correct, do not proceed until adjusted by the plumber. If the plumber allows, the Transolid extended drain can rectify this problem if the pipe is too short by up to 1 inch. Clean the hub and pan area to be seamed well with alcohol to remove any grease or oils or dirt. Then, line the hub opening. Use plenty of seam adhesive to seam in the hub using at least 3 solid beads. Place the hub with the drain fitting already attached into the pan and work down until it makes contact with the pan, working up as much seam adhesive as possible. A good beam of seam adhesive flash should be clearly visible all the way around the seam. If there is a gap, inject seam adhesive into this, leaving a good beam of seam adhesive flash. Seam adhesive will shrink when it cures. Typical time to cure is about 30 minutes depending on the temperature. Once the adhesive is dry, be sure that any debris is removed from between the pipe and the fitting where the rubber seal ring is to go. Prior to installing the ring, lubricate the ring with silicone grease and slip over the pipe. Insert the seal with the angled edge of the ring pointed up. With a blunt object, push the ring all of the way into place. Do not cut the ring. Thread the crown ring into place and tighten. Do not over-tighten the crown ring. Perform any required water tests either now or after the hub is sanded. Once the seam adhesive cures, remove the flash. If cutting across the seam, a sharp chisel will speed up this process. Do not cut with the seam as it may chip out in some areas. A grinder or belt sander can also be used. A grinder will create a lot more dust and should not be used if that is a major concern. The little Porter cable belt sander also works great. The hub should be sanded so that the water will break to the drain. Sand the hub to gray Scotch-Brite or matte level, approximately a 320 grit finish. Wet sanding will minimize the dust. When finished, check for proper drainage. Make slope adjustments as needed at the hub area as needed with the sander. Material in this area is nearly 3/4 of an inch thick. Determine where any grab bars, ADA seats, or accessories that need mounting will go. Wood blocking will be required for many of these accessories and needs to be done at this time. For ADA seating, there should be no voids behind the panel and the substrate. Bench seats with the fold-down legs should be used. Now that the pan, water dam, threshold, hub, and accessory blockings are installed, it is time to install the walls and trim. Order and process are important. If there is a ceiling, the ceiling should be installed first, followed by the back wall and sides. For details on ceiling panel installation, consult the printed installation instructions. As you begin to install the walls, first measure them at several points and make any necessary adjustments. Because the cove is 1 inch and the trim is typically 2 inches, it is acceptable to leave the walls 1 inch short to the ceiling and ½ inch short in width. This will make for a much easier installation. Install the back panel first, and then the side panels and front panels if there is a return wall. Use silicone to install the wall panels. Sealing of the panel is critical. If there is a joint, it should have silicone behind it. Silicone should be applied in a pattern so that the silicone adhesive is every 8 to 12 inches. We recommend a circle pattern to minimize the need for blocking, as the circles act like suction cups holding the panel to the substrate. Press the walls firmly into place. Be sure to make large cutouts in the panels without sharp corners. Use a drill bit to radius any inside corners if required. If cutting with a jigsaw, be sure to properly support the panels so that the action of the blade does not break or crack the panels. Notch for the threshold if required. Again, be sure to seal with silicone behind the panel and water dam, applying the silicone where the pan and wall panel meet on the panel platform of the shower pan. A sharp chisel will speed up the process and do a good job of removing excess silicone that squeezes out. When cutting for the shower mixer, be sure to allow access to the areas to change the mixer cartridges. Be sure to not overcut any hole, however, the panel should not rub on the showerhead pipe or other protrusion. If you have any questions about this, ask to see the escutcheon plates or showerhead extension from the plumber. Seal the perimeter of all cutouts with silicone. Once the panels are installed, clean up excess silicone. Using a sharp chisel, cleanup is a breeze. For the 2-inch trim, the silicone should be run down the contact surface prior to installation. Hot melt can be used to tack the molding in place until the silicone sets up. Color match silicone should be applied while the silicone that worked its way out is still wet for the best installation. The concept behind the corners is that they are first sealed with silicone in the corners where the wall panels meet, and then are sealed again with the cove molding. Silicone should be run behind the cove just prior to installation of the cove. The key to installing trim and cove is that all of the joints are well sealed with silicone acting as a gasket rather than a surface seal. Any surface silicone should be cosmetic rather than instrumental in the sealing process. The standard for installing corner shelves is 48 inches off the finished floor on the corner opposite of the shower door on the wall of the plumbing fixture. Check local codes for applications involving ADA showers. Silicone should be applied around the perimeter of the shelf, making contact with the wall. Hot melt can be used to tack the shelf onto the wall until the silicone sets up. Transolid supplies two types of corner caddies. If the caddy is open-backed, it is installed after the cove. The closed-back caddy is installed while installing the cove. Note that any accessories attached by screws through the solid surface should have some sort of backing. Screws should never be screwed into solid surface and should always be anchored using an appropriate type of shield anchor which does not allow screws to make contact with the solid surface. Oversized holes to accommodate the appropriate anchor should be drilled. Prior to inserting the anchor, fill the hole with silicone. The screws should find their way into some sort of backing as an appropriate for the type of accessory being hung. Do not over-tighten the screws. In the end, be sure to remove all tools and scrap material. Wipe down the shower with 409 or denatured alcohol and make sure all unwanted silicone has been removed. Always leave the space as clean or cleaner than when you found it. Be sure to use paintable caulking where solid surface meets painted surfaces. In less than 8 hours, we have created a brand new shower. Non-porous and renewable, it will require less maintenance and last much longer than the tile shower that it replaced.